These are the 10 tallest LEGO sets ever released, and I'm gonna build them all, starting with the Disney Castle. Not that Disney Castle. This one. Despite being the shortest set on this list, it's pretty huge, standing at a massive 80 centimeters tall. Here's my cat Ralph for reference. It comes with 8 minifigures, and if we turn it round, it's teeming with details. From these incredible metallic murals, to frogs ingeniously used as table legs. There's even a spinning ballroom for Cinderella and Prince Charming, as well as tons of other references to Disney movies new and old. But we can do taller than that. Number 9 is the Daily Bugle, and long-time viewers might remember that I've actually already built this set. A few years ago, I turned it into a scratching post so my other cat Bella could pretend she's Godzilla. But I can't just show you that, so I built it again. I must confess though that I don't know anything about Marvel, yet this set is nonetheless delightful. It's especially cool how the fronts come off to give you a better look at the interior. But is it really fair to call this taller than the Disney Castle, purely because of a spire? Well yes, that's often how real-life skyscrapers become the tallest too. Number 8, however, is undeniably taller. As someone who doesn't know a lot about Lord of the Rings either, I believe this is pronounced Barad-Dûr. And as cool as it is, I don't really have anything insightful to say. It comes with some really cool and some really creepy minifigures, and I absolutely love this mechanism in the throne room. There's also a light brick to illuminate the giant eye, which is fun. Now tell me I'm going crazy, but the whole thing is essentially just a gothic version of the Disney Castle. The two sets are remarkably similar. Not only the shape and the size, but look at the back of each one. They're practically the same. Okay, I'm gonna stop offending Lord of the Rings fans, and continue offending Marvel fans. Oh, and can we just take a moment to appreciate these Cinema Reel countdown titles? I animated them all by hand. It took an entire day. Anyway, time for another clicky-clacky montage. This is the Avengers Tower, and whilst the first 3 sets had only 3 centimeters between them, this sees a jump of a whopping 7 centimeters, even if there is a small spire. It is colossal, and the whole design is very ambitious, with sloped walls and curved roofs employing some very creative building techniques. Again, a lot of the details and references presumably go over my head, but solely from an architectural perspective, it's incredible, especially compared to the standard boxiness of the Daily Bugle. What's more, it comes with 31 minifigures, the most of any LEGO set ever. Right, so far we've just had 4 buildings, but this is where the list starts to get fun. Number 6 is the Loop Coaster. Once again, I've already built this in a previous video. In fact, I went as far as to modify it and literally send it to space. Every time I mention that video, there's always tons of people who haven't seen it, so you should definitely go watch it. But anyway, I built it again, and unlike previous entries, there's no spire or gimmick, just 92 centimeters of pure adrenaline. The whole thing is exceptionally complex mechanically. I have no idea how they even begin to design this stuff, but I'm very glad they do, even if it occasionally malfunctions. Regardless, I think the ambition and scope of this set undoubtedly outweigh any occasional performance issues. Which brings us, oh no, to number 5. This one's Technic. And did you know that the word Technic is actually Latin for suffering? Probably. This set is so big that the parts come in their own boxes, something I've never seen before, and makes me dread it even more. Look how many motors it comes with, and these are weighted bricks, they're really heavy. I didn't film any of the build, I was far too miserable, and I think it's time to abandon the backdrop. It's done and it's massive, but I just want to quickly justify why I don't really like Technic. Basically, the sets use these custom Technic pieces and pins to lock everything together. It makes it really complicated and fiddly to build, and if you do make a mistake, which of course I frequently do, it can be really difficult to correct. That said, the end result is always pretty cool. I just don't know if it's worth the stress and trauma of having to build it. Okay, maybe it is worth it. This can do some ridiculously cool stuff. With the remote here, I can firstly steer. I go forwards, backwards, side to side. I can lower and raise the hook, which is really cool. I can rotate side to side as well. Boring. This next LEGO set isn't exactly a walk in the park itself. You know how normally the pieces come organised in neatly numbered bags? Well, not this one. Check this out. None of the bags are numbered, which means this might take a while. Instead, you have to open every single bag at once and meticulously sort through almost 1,000 pieces. Thankfully, it didn't take nearly as long as I expected. This is the LEGO wind turbine, and it's even motorised. Well, I guess it's actually the exact opposite of a wind turbine. A real one spins and creates power, but this requires power to spin. Still, it's charming, and even includes lights for the little house at the base. And what's interesting? Technically it's the 4th tallest, but only for a split second before it isn't again. And then it is, and then it isn't. Whether this counts or not, I really love this set, and it's probably going to make its way into Spronkington in some form or another. Number 3 is the Saturn V rocket, rather appropriately with 1969 pieces. This set is incredibly tall and incredibly thin, and it feels like you're making exceptionally fast progress when building it. The finished thing is gigantic, a very fitting tribute to the rocket which took man to the moon, and despite being exactly a metre tall, is sturdy enough to withstand Bella's headbutts. Except, you know how I said this was the 3rd tallest, the wind turbine the 4th tallest, and the crane the 5th tallest? Well, that's according to the official dimensions, but if you fully extend the crane, it's taller than both of them. Which brings us to the 2nd tallest LEGO set of all time. And I have some bad news. This set also doesn't come in numbered bags, and has 4 times the amount of pieces as a wind turbine. This set is so old that on the back of the instructions, it's advertising the very first modular building from 18 years ago, one of only 3 missing from my collection. It's also so old that it doesn't come with a brick separator, but somehow I think I'll manage. I organised the pieces into old takeaway containers, which I'm not gonna lie was incredibly satisfying. Then it was time to get to work. I'm gonna be honest, the build was incredibly dull and repetitive, and the end product, well, it looks like it was built in Minecraft. At least Ralph seems to like it. Look at his face. I don't get it. It's easy to laugh at an 18-year-old mobile phone and how primitive and clunky it looks, but LEGO hasn't exactly changed in the way technology has. There's no reason for this set to be so, quite frankly, bad. But LEGO more than made up for it with the final set, and for this,
it's time for a very serious business trip.
You see, the tallest ever LEGO set is also the Eiffel Tower, so I booked a hotel with a view. At halfway, I decided to see if I could line the two up, and how glorious is this? Then it was building for the rest of the afternoon and long into the night. It was unavoidably tedious, but my location made it entirely more bearable. In fact, I'd even go as far as to say I was having a lot of fun. It's so late that even the Eiffel Tower has turned its lights off, but in here, all I have to do is put this piece up the top and it will be finished. But I'm gonna wait until the morning. I woke at sunrise to attach the final piece, and holy moly, this has got to be the coolest thing I've done in my life. Seriously, building the Eiffel Tower in Paris, the tallest ever LEGO set beside what was for 40 years the world's tallest building. I'm so lucky. This set is infinitely more detailed than its predecessor, and the whole experience was just pure joy. Anyway, I very carefully packed it into my suitcase. I'm kidding, I callously tore it apart and built a new one at home. But there we have it, the 10 tallest LEGO sets ever released. It's so cool having them all lined up like this and being able to see the height difference. Anyway, I am very tired, I'm gonna sleep for like a month.